The extent of my influence could be taken from his comments, whatever he had to say about it. I'm sure I'm not the only person that he talks to.
I know that there have been talk about saying, Speaker, as the head of the Democratic Party of Illinois, should have done more vetting in the first place, should have gotten involved. Is that something that you feel you should have done, or you've been criticized for that before?
Well, I have several critics, and when these things come along, why, they come out of the woodwork. And I would simply say to them that at the same time, why the Democratic Party is an open party, and most Democrats want it to be an open party. We want to welcome anyone who chooses to participate in the primary elections. That's what happened in this instance. And for myself, I'm not going to engage in finger-pointing recriminations. I think we ought to be happy that Mr. Cohen has dropped out. Now we ought to focus on replacing him as the candidate for Lieutenant Governor. And all Democrats nationwide should focus on the general election of November 10th.
Who do you want as a replacement?
As I said in my statement, I plan to work with the members of the committee, with Governor Coyne and President Cullerton, to make a recommendation to the committee.
What are your thoughts on Tammy Duckworth, the name floated?
Well, she's certainly got an outstanding record in government.
What's the next step in the process of finding that replacement? What do you do next?
I'm sure that all the members of the committee will be receiving suggestions, and so will I, and so will the governor, and so will President Cullerton. And at some time, the governor and Senator Cullerton and I will sit down and talk it through. I expect that I'll be the one who will be called upon to communicate with the members of the committee, which I'll do, and we'll attempt to come to a consensus.
Do you have any criteria that you want to consider? I mean, there's been talk about geographic concerns or getting, a person of color, a female.
I think the overriding goal ought to be to find a strong candidate who would be well received by the people of the state of Illinois.
As this session takes off, now that the election is, I guess, kind of settled, we're one candidate open and looming, but as we look to November, what do you see the General Assembly accomplishing this session? What do you think the budget will look like?
Well, I think the best question in that regard would be to ask, what does that group on the other side of the chamber plan to do? Do they plan to participate, or do they plan to be dropouts? That's the first question that has to be addressed. So from their record of last year why they've been dropouts. They've been do-nothing people. And so I think in terms of resolving the severe budget crisis that we have, question number one would be, will the House and the Senate Republicans participate, or will they be do-nothing dropouts?
With the Lieutenant Governor issue, what's the urgency in getting that position filled on the ballot? Should it be done before March, before the next scheduled meeting?
I think the first thing you have to understand is that the members of the committee have not yet been certified. So the different election authorities working with the State Board of Elections are going through a process where they certify who won the elections. And I believe that the date for certification by the State Board is around March 5 or 6. March 5. So a better way to approach it is to say, well, nothing can be done until March 5 or 6. Thereafter, we can convene the committee when we think it would be an appropriate time to convene the committee.